Life among the Lilliputians. For most of my youth, I felt like Mrs. Gulliver living among the Lilliputians. A head taller than my friends, my older brother, and even many of my teachers, I did not appreciate my long-limbed body. I felt like a skyscraper. Lofting me to this height was a pair of spidery long legs with knobby knees and skinny ankles, accompanied by feet the size of boat oars. I longed to be dainty and petite like my girlfriends who batted their eyelashes as they looked up at a boy's face. I never looked up at boys. I looked down upon their dandruff-ridden heads. Instead of gorgeous or good-looking, my nicknames included Wilt the Stilt, Beanpole, and Long Tall Sally. Thankfully, I learned to laugh at myself early in life, and my sense of humor enabled me to deflect the insensitive comments I heard. I'll never forget my first dance in junior high, which I looked forward to with great anticipation. In preparation for the event, we practiced the mambo, the cha-cha, and the jitterbug in gym class. I could float like a butterfly. But unfortunately, none of the dwarf boys at the dance invited me to flutter from my cocoon. Cherries Pink and Apple Blossoms White echoed from the record player as I languished on the sidelines, watching the midget boys dance with the short girls, while the Amazons like me wallowed in envy and boredom. When I lamented my height to my mother, she confessed that she too had dreamed of being shorter when she was a young girl. She tried to solve the problem in a unique way by asking to sleep with her sister Ellis, who at 5 feet 3 inches tall was the shortest of Mom's 5 sisters. Somehow, Mother reasoned that sleeping with Ellis would magically stunt her growth. Of course, her strategy failed. Mother ended up being the tallest sister of all at 5 feet 9 inches. By the age of 13, I had surpassed Mother's height and sprouted up like a sunflower to 5 feet 10 inches. My attempts to appear shorter by wearing low-heeled shoes and a flat hairdo did not succeed, though I hunched my shoulders forward and bent my knees as much as I could. During every class photo or chorus concert, I stood on the back row. If someone moved me to another row temporarily, there was an immediate outcry of, "I can't see over Judy." In high school, the situation improved slightly since some of the boys grew a few inches. However, I still stood out in a crowd of girls, like a scarecrow in a tomato patch. My height wasn't quite the disadvantage it had been, though. When I auditioned successfully for the school's modern dance group, my angular arms and legs fit in perfectly, and the judges raved over my high leaps into the air. In college, I finally began to appreciate my height. Suddenly, being tall was an advantage, especially if you played sports. Selected for the varsity basketball team, volleyball team, and swimming team, I outjumped and outspiked my opponents, and my elongated body was a definite asset when I competed in the butterfly stroke. My good fortune continued. Cast as Maggie, the funeral dancer in Brigadoon, my stature allowed me to perform dramatic arabesques and poses quite suitable to the role. Other dancing roles followed in Kiss Me Kate and Guys and Dolls. On stage, not a single person asked me, "How's the weather up there?" At last, others viewed me as queenly and statuesque. A modeling agency hired me for part-time work, and even vertically challenged males eyed me from a different perspective. The ugly duckling had metamorphosed, maybe not into a swan, but at least into a graceful ostrich. It was a great relief to leave the days behind when schoolmates laughed at my height. Eventually, I married a good-looking Italian named Dan who was 1 inch shorter than I was, but my height did not bother him at all. He didn't care if I wore sneakers, flats, or 3-inch stiletto heels with sexy ankle straps. Of course, I didn't often wear stiletto heels for 2 reasons. First, I couldn't keep my balance in them, and secondly, Dan might get tired of talking to my chest. Or maybe not. Infrequently, I still encounter ill-bred people who can't appreciate tall women. I treat their flawed outlook with disdain since I am far above their petty views, both literally and figuratively. However, sometimes my foot accidentally sticks out and trips them. I have traveled from stick girl to gawky teenager to mature woman. Although I am still taller than most of my friends, I no longer feel like Mrs. Gulliver. In fact, I feel quite comfortable with my height. I don't need a ladder to reach the highest shelf, and I can see over the crowd at any parade. Yes, I have finally accepted who I am. I am tall.